Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. What if I told you the only thing standing between you and your next big opportunity is your voice? This isn't just another program. Empower Your Message is your ticket to becoming the podcast guest everyone wants. You'll learn how to craft a pitch that gets a hell yes, show up with unshakable confidence, and drop truth bombs that leave hosts and audiences wanting more. No more playing small. No more waiting for permission. It's your time to be heard. Loud, clear, and unforgettable. Visit the link in the show notes to sign up, and let's make your voice impossible to ignore. The mic is waiting. Are you ready? Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Abby Havermnn. She is a psychotherapist turned coach who uses neuroscience, spiritual, and coaching experience with her ability to transform difficult life experiences into a gratitude-worthy, self-evolutionary tool. She's also a speaker, a podcast host, and a writer. Welcome, Abby. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you, Brad. Thanks for having me.
It is my honor and my pleasure. I am extremely excited to have you here, and I'm looking forward to jumping in and sharing about all the beautiful light you put out into the world through all the different work that you do, and share a little bit in your story and your journey. So with that being said, let us jump right in. I want to jump right into the depths, and I would love to know, what was your personal dark night of the soul, and how did it crack you open to do the work that you're now doing?
Yeah, there's been more than one.
Yeah, usually
right?
is.
Isn't there when we get to this age? There's more than one. But the original one was when I was a practicing couples therapist, and my husband suffered with chronic pain and addiction. And I had decided to leave the marriage. And the day before I left the marriage, he was particularly out of it. And something that has never happened before happened. We had a scuffle. He called 911. He shoved me. I slapped him. And 5 minutes later, there were 3 cops at my door. And I did a TEDx on it, actually. And because there was no judges to hear my case that day, I had to spend the night in jail. So I was a practicing couples therapist arrested for domestic violence.
Holy.
Yeah. It was just, talk about crack open. So I was mortified. I was absolutely mortified. And it was through that night in jail that I really realized a program that I had been running that I didn't realize that I was running, which was unworthiness. And I think it's one that most people run. And I realized that everything that led me to get in that marriage in the first place and really drove everything that I did, including how I behaved on that morning, which was quite frankly, very concerned with what the neighbors were going to think, worried about the laundry list of things I had to do to pack up the house, these things that have nothing to do with what's important. And the questions I answered to the police were in that vein. You can go, but I didn't know there was a mandatory arrest law. And so they were going to have to arrest somebody. And they chose me. So it was really in that moment that I realized, what have I been doing? I had this voice in my head say, who else was going to love you if you didn't marry him?
Yeah.
And that was a dark night of the soul.
That's a rude fucking awakening. That's for damn sure. Spending the night in prison and actually having the cops show up and take you away in cuffs. And
oh yeah.
And
the worst was like the memory of my 2-year-old just peeling off of me. I gave him to the neighbor, and the terror and fear in his eyes. And I always use this as an example because I think there is an epidemic of women who think that we can put our needs under the rug. It's really not a big deal. We're not betraying anybody else. And that is not true. Like when you betray yourself, you betrayed the ones you love most. And I left my 2-year-old. I did the one thing I said I would never do. I left him in physical, emotional, and potentially physical harm that night.
That betrayal of self is huge. And this speaks to, I think, a lot of the conditioning that young girls receive when it comes to putting everyone else, because that's where it starts, right? Putting everyone else ahead of themselves. You as the woman, you have to look after your partner, your husband, your kids, your friends, your family before you even do anything for yourself. And then there's nothing left for you. How can you possibly do that? You can't. But we've been taught, mostly women, that it's selfish to put ourselves first. And how dare you think of yourself first? And how dare you fill your cup first? And how dare you put yourself ahead of your family? That's just wrong. No, you need to do that in order to be able to give to those you want to give to.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think one of the problems that we have now is that this is sort of like in an echo chamber in a way. Like we're all saying this thing, put on your own oxygen mask on first. And this is really why I did my TED Talk. It's called Women's Liberation is an Inside Job, the End of Self-Betrayal. And I really talk about in there, we need to understand, like we've been conditioned for thousands and thousands of years from our dowries to Twiggy on as the model to always do this. And the reason that when I really got the next sort of awakening was my son then was 13 and I was in his middle school in an auditorium and they had a cop there giving a talk about sexting because the kids were sexting. And they were trying to get them to stop. One reason, because it was a class 3 felony and there's nothing they could do about it. It's an intent to distribute child porn. And so they were like, you guys need to realize how important this is. But what the cop said was that when he asked boys why they asked girls to send pictures of them, they said, because I want to see a picture of her naked. And when they asked the girls, why did you do it? They said, because I wanted him to love me. And I knew.
That's heartbreaking.
Before he said the words, I knew it. And so there's this whole thing of, oh, I can dress however I want. I can do whatever I want. And we think that is revolutionary and asserting our independence. But I'll tell you what, a girl who understands her worth, who knows her worth, who has not memorized this idea that my sexuality equals my worth, does not send a naked picture of herself so that someone will love her. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not judging it. I'm saying you don't do it for that reason unless you don't really know your worth.
And at that age, let's be honest, you shouldn't be doing things like that's just,
who knows their worth at that age anyway.
Exactly. There's women and men, will say, because men suffer from it too. It's not as prevalent, I would believe. Or let's reword that. Let's say men don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the age of 40, 50, 60 that don't know their worth. So how can we expect a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old to know what the fuck their worth is? There's no way.
And that's why I say we can talk about legislation and teaching men not to do this. And it comes from inside. It doesn't matter. There's no law that's going to stop a woman who does not feel worthy unconsciously to do things that will lead to harm for her.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
So for me, that was the form.
Yeah.
Many other forms throughout the years, but that was
of course.
The form.
Wow. So take me back to the version of you before the transformation. What was she chasing, avoiding, or trying to hold together?
She was trying to hold everything together, right? She was trying to pretend that her husband wasn't a walking zombie, that she hadn't made the biggest mistake of her life, done exactly what she said she would never do, marry an addict, then get divorced. The younger version of me, I've said before, I think although being a psychotherapist, I enjoyed it. It came very easy to me. I was very good at it. I did enjoy it. But I think there was a part of me unconsciously that did it because I wanted some type of prestige. I was the youngest child. I wanted my voice to matter. I wanted to be elevated in some way. And so I had a real picture out there in the world. And I thought that I was on top of my unconscious because I was in analysis. I was a therapist. I used consultation for all my clients. I supervised. I taught at the graduate level. Graduate students how to be therapists. I thought I was really on top of my unconscious. But I didn't really realize that. I didn't understand at that point in time how the unconscious really works. And I was afraid of being found out as really the fraud that I felt that I was.
See, this is another piece around the worth bit where people feel that their worth is tied to their achievements.
Exactly.
Look at me. Look what I've achieved. Look at my wall of achievements behind me here. How great am I? And nothing could be further from the truth. Those things, sure, they look good and people tell you that you need them, but it doesn't mean shit. It all starts here within us. We are the foundation for everything. It all starts here within us. And that's it. Plain and simple.
I think it goes back to really something that we learn that is so not true. We've been conditioned even by our education system to just only believe in what is material and what is there.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people grow up being told they have a soul, and that's sort of a normal teaching. And when I'm speaking to audiences, I say that's really an erroneous teaching, because you have toys, you have a family. When you have something, it can be taken away. I have a remote. Now I don't.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of separation. And this separation then leaves us constantly longing to get back to that oneness, to that unity. And it's on so many levels that we are misinformed and constantly chasing something to get back that wholeness, which, as you say, is found within.
Yeah, that's where we have to start, is within. And we are all one. We are all one consciousness. And we can't do anything in this life alone. We need each other. We are the human race, and collaboration and community are everything. We are meant to do things in community with one another, to support each other. That's why we're all here.
It's a lesson that's hard to, especially with the division that's in the world today. That's what I was writing about this morning. It's hard to understand that.
Yeah, the divisiveness is, I've talked about this with a few different people, and I don't think I've ever seen so much divisiveness in the world as we are witnessing now in these last few years. It is, and it seems to be growing. The divide seems to be growing further and further apart, and I think that's horrible and it's sad. So we need to surround ourselves with heart-minded, like-minded people and have these conversations like we're having here today. Talk about the things. And I know you mentioned echo chamber, but we have to talk about this stuff. We have to put it out there so that people become aware of what's going on.
I think this is exactly what I was writing about today. I think that when we talk about the being unconscious, this is the place, this is the sneaky place where the ego really gets us. And the way that we really can't ever be totally self-aware. But what happens in these places where we surround ourselves with people who are loving and all that kind of stuff, that's great. But what is getting missed is that when I talk about Red Hawk, who I've interviewed on my podcast, he wrote Self-Observation and Self-Remembering. And he says, all judgment is a strategy to avoid relationship. So anytime we're in judgment, we are not one, we are not with.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, and I see this in higher conscious communities all the time. Oh, it's oneness, it's love. We're getting back to love. And they're saying this in the same breath that they're hating on the people who hate. I'm not saying those other people are not hating, but they're hating on the people who hate. And that is a contradiction that is just totally missed. When you hate someone who is hating, you are that person. When you judge the person who you think is judging, you are that person.
We are reflections. We are reflecting.
We are reflections. So we keep going around and we think it's okay that I judge this person because what they're doing is so morally repugnant.
So I'm okay to judge because I'm over here.
It's the ego's greatest trick.
Yeah.
And then I'm on some moral high ground, and morality is not conscience. Those are two different things.
I love that. Thank you for pointing that out and sharing that. It's very true. How have those experiences helped shape the Abby you are today, both personally and professionally, do you think?
How has bone-crushing humiliation... Is that the question, Brad?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't want to word it that way, but since you did, okay.
I think it's been a long journey, but I really think that it's just gotten me going to overcome these parts of myself that believe that I'm unworthy, that it's created this relentless emergence in me, that I want everyone to have that awakening, but I need me to have it, and I need to keep having it. I need to keep pulling off the layers of however that shows up in my life. where is it showing up? Where is my ego and nervous system getting in the way? And along the way, it's just put me into all these different places, whether it's learning one thing or another, or studying with one person or another. It's just been this evolution of peeling off the layers of my nervous system and the noise that it creates to be able to hear what I sometimes refer to as your soul signal. It's about waking up, and talk about the awake advantage. Waking up that you are not your mind. And I say this to myself, you are not your mind. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. And this disidentification with what my mind is telling me about something, or what my ego wants me to believe or do because it's been slighted, or this or that or the other. It's been this evolution of understanding that and bringing that to my work.
Well, that evolution is constant. We never stop evolving or growing because we're human beings. And that's what you strive for, is to constantly grow and step outside of who you are, or step outside your comfort zone and step into the newer version of you, and constantly learning and growing and expanding.
I do think that is a human drive, but you and I probably surround ourselves with people who are on that journey for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that the intellectual, emotional apparatus, this system that we live in, we can live perfectly fine our whole lives without ever evolving our consciousness at all. We can get a job and we can do the work and we can all of those things. And I think that not every soul is actually here to evolve to different levels, right? But I do agree. I think that is an underlying drive that we have, but it's sort of been beaten out of us in a way.
It has. I love that you said that not everyone is here to evolve. We've all got our soul contracts when we come here, and it's already mapped out. It's just you follow the path and you become enlightened by learning, and the people you surround yourself with, and all of these things contribute to that. But some people just aren't meant to go on that journey, and that's okay. That's their journey. Some people, just like entrepreneurship, not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody can be an entrepreneur. It takes a certain type of person to that. And there's nothing wrong with that. 9 to 5 is fine. If that's what makes you happy, if that's what makes your soul sing, great, go for it. Do it till the cows come home. Do what makes you happy.
Yeah. That's something that people like, but we're conditioned not to do that, right? Wouldn't it be great? That's one of my favorite quotes of all time. I always say it, Howard Thurman, when he said, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive," because what the world needs is more people who have come alive.
I could not agree with you more. Could you imagine what the fucking world would look like if everybody did what lit them up, what set their souls on fire? A friend of mine once told me that, when you're faced with or given a decision to make, if it's not a hell yes in your gut, forget it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. And it's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain away why you don't want to do it or anything.
Nope.
No, that's it. Leave it at that. But the world would be such an amazing place if more people stepped into doing what they love, doing what set their soul on. That, I honestly believe, that has got to be the greatest gift on the planet, is to be able to do that. It is the greatest feeling in the world. I say it's, for me personally, it's like winning the lottery twice. Once, the first time was finding my purpose, finding my passion, finding what makes me happy, finding what drives me, what sets my soul on fire. The second was doing that thing and having it have impact in the world, give back to people.
Yeah.
That's winning the lottery twice. There is no greater feeling in the world. No money can give you that feeling. It is, I wish everyone on this planet could experience that, because it is the most incredible feeling in the world.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think we'd live in a different world, because if everybody were in joy and in love,
yes,
we wouldn't really have time to be throwing stones and.
Oh, it would be incredible. It would be incredible. Abby, what was the biggest or most valuable takeaway for you through those experiences, would you say, or one of the most?
I think the one that continues to unravel for me, because and I've mentioned it already, but I think that we don't realize the degree to which our ego is running us. We have no idea. And I've been teaching about neuroscience for years. I had no idea.
Yeah.
This goes beyond what we know about if you really start watching what your mind is doing and how much you are buying in to what your mind is telling you. Think about any time that you feel annoyed. Anytime. Like you could trip and fall down and get annoyed. Like literally everything in our world is annoying us on some level or doing something, or it's good or it's bad. Mind is literally dumping everything in categories. This is good. This is bad. I have my fan on right now. It feels very good. I'm enjoying this conversation. It's good, right? This light is shining a little bit. Oh, it's bad. Literally everything. The mind, that is the totality of the mind's ability. And the mind is all that we hail the mind. Like it is the master. It goes back to the master and his emissary. The mind is a fabulous tool, but it makes a really shitty CEO of your life.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is the biggest learning for me in all of this is how do we get back to center? How do I get back to remembering who I am? How do I continue every day to bring myself back or watch myself forget to bring myself back, myself not do it, and watch the patterns. Just watch my patterns of behavior. This happens and I always feel this way. And then I usually say that, and then this happens. So what is it in your life? Like, I know a lot of entrepreneurs probably listen to this, so you don't get the client. What's the automatic experience that you have? Oh, I should have done this differently. Maybe oh my God, my fees are too high. This is what the problem is. Okay, so this is all stuff your mind is telling you. And mind only has available to it stored memory. It only has available to it what it has learned from personal experience or what it has been shown by teachings. And so we take whatever's happening and we run it through all of this old programming. And that must mean that I charged too much or I screwed this up or I didn't listen enough. I talked too much. Watch that whole scenario go down and then watch longer, right? Watch what happens the next day. Watch what happens 3 weeks later when you're dragging your ass around your house saying, oh, I don't know why I do this shit. I should just give up.
We constantly shit on ourselves.
This is identification with the mind, and it's powerful, and with the ego, right?
We need to learn to shift that way of thinking, and it's a small shift, but it takes a lot to do it. We all struggle with it. I've been working on it, and I believe, gotten to a point where half the time, I would say, if I'm going to be completely honest, I can get through it by thinking to myself and talking to myself and saying, you know what? If that was meant for me, let's use your example, like you didn't get a client. If that was meant for me, I would have got the client. It's okay. That just means that there's something else coming down the pike that's better, that's bigger, that's for me. It's hard. It's very hard to get into that mindset. It takes work and it takes practice. But when you're able to do that, oh my fucking God, it's a game changer. It really is. But truly.
Yeah, totally. And that mindset, the reason it's hard to get into it is because we're usually just doing it with our mind. And remember, the mind is only memory. So we can tell ourselves, and we normally do, those things. Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I have 100,000 times I can tell you about that. I can tell myself, no, you didn't do anything wrong. It was fine. You're fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
But the feeling doesn't go away. And then maybe you would talk to a friend. What do you think I should do? Oh, you did everything great. You're great. You're perfect. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm all good.
Yeah.
And then I'm still carrying it around. It's in my body. I'm still identified with it because that's the conditioning of my body. That's my nervous system. And so it's in my cells. I study with someone who teaches the work of Gurdjieff, who was a mystic in the early 1900s. And he taught something called the work. And part of this is that our parts, our personality parts and our ego parts don't change, but we can change our relationship to them. And so over time, over an extended period of time of just observing the pattern, because a lot of times what happens is we have something like that happen and we're like, oh, you fell into that again. You shouldn't have done that. So we even judge the fact that we didn't do the right thing. We didn't have the right mindset. Mindset. And over a period of time of really watching and stepping in it over and over again, we can begin to neutralize and not identify with it. But it is hard, right? It takes time. It takes so much time of non-judgmental self-observation, because we can't just tell ourselves something with our mind and expect, in my case, decades and decades of conditioning and soul contracts and all the things to unravel. The mind is not reliable. So why would I believe that?
Yeah, it takes repetitions.
Yeah, the mind is the same one that's telling me I'm a piece of shit. So whether the mind on one hand says, oh, you're a piece of shit, and the other hand says, no, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's all drivel. It's all drivel.
So you have to continually do the work. You have to continually practice.
Yeah, you have to practice just watching. Just watch your inner world. You don't have to do anything. We're addicted to doing something.
Yes.
And as soon as I notice something about myself, the next thing is, but what should I do? Okay, great. We've identified this. What do I do about it? Nothing. The act of observing yourself and detaching and beginning to disidentify with what your mind says, over time, you will automatically do something different. Doing something in the same energy that you're not doing something is like doing the same thing. It's energy.
Yep.
Whether you don't say anything, but you're like this, or whether you tell someone off and rip them a new asshole, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not about what you do. It's about the energy with which you do it. And the energy shifts as you begin to build a more compassionate and more realistic view of yourself, which doesn't mean just self-love. It also means brutal honesty.
Absolutely. Radical responsibility.
Without judgment.
Yes, for sure. You talk about using awareness as a tool for transformation, not just information. What's the difference between knowing something and actually embodying it? It's
literally in those words. If you think about thinking, what we typically do, we think, right? I just have to think about this. I can't decide. I just need to think about it. No, you don't. Yeah. You don't need to think about it. You don't. Stop thinking. Thinking is thinking from memory. It's thinking from past. There's nothing new. There's no information there. It's about moving from overthinking to inner knowing. And so when you use the word embodiment, that's really what it is. It's knowing with your whole mind and body. It's like taking an elevator down from your brain down to your heart. And so a lot of times, especially in the beginning, when I'm first working with someone, they'll be like, oh, I got it. And what they're saying is, I intellectually understand what we're discussing here and how it has impacted my life. Intellectual understanding is something that is very different from inner know. And the way that you know the difference is because when you understand something intellectually, you're still asking the question, what should I do? And usually, by the way, behind that question is that program saying, what's the right thing to do? Because we're addicted to thinking there's a right and a wrong. That's like this whole moral ground. The right person would do this. I shouldn't be a doormat. Or the right person would fire this client because blah, blah, blah. It has nothing to do with right or wrong. It has to do with what is right for you. There is no court of the world. So that's what you're thinking when you're trying to push a transformation, right? When you're transmuting the energy, right, from a place of fear or unknowing or whatever, or intellectualization, you're transmuting that into an embodiment, a knowing. And there's no questions asked there because you just find yourself doing the thing. There was no analysis of it. You're just like, you just knew what to do and it felt right. Even if everybody wasn't happy with it, you just knew you had to. It's just something told you had to.
Your intuition.
Just like my show, Intuition Incubator.
Trusting, that's a huge thing to adopt, to learn to do. It is a learned skill set to learn to trust. And I was talking with someone about this, and I was asked, how should I start out by learning to trust my intuition? They said, start with something very insignificant and small. Should I move into the left lane or should I turn right here? Or little silly things like that to start to practice growing and enhancing your intuition. Start with shit that's not going to have any major consequences, of course, to begin with, to start to learn to trust your intuition. And then gradually continue to step it up and try different things. But that's what that has been conditioned out of us too. Or I would say tamp down within us, because it never leaves us. It's always there. It's just a matter of remembering it's there. And we have been taught and conditioned and all of these things, and we forget that it's there. We forget that we have it.
Yes.
We have everything, all the answers within us. They're already there.
Yep.
But it has been tamped so far down within us that we forget. So we need to learn to remember.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. Self-remembering. The work talks about self-remembering. And it's something that and that's why I loved this idea for the title of my show is Intuition Incubator. And it dropped in because I feel like we have to incubate it. We really do, because we've lost it. And I've heard that advice too, which I think is phenomenal. Just start with something little, start to check your centers with something small and move in that direction, because it's a travesty how much we betray ourselves with our lack of trust that we have for ourselves. And I think it's layers. For me, it's just been, I see it. I still see it. Like I get stuck in different areas and I see this one thing that sort of permeates these different parts of my life that all sort of revolve around like stuckness, but maybe not making a decision. And I think it just comes down to, but what if it's the wrong decision? What if I can't trust that deeper knowing? But when you settle down,
sit with yourself, be silent, be in the moment with yourself. This is another part of the problem is people cannot, or a lot of people don't like to be in silence and sit with themselves. They don't like their own company. They do all these different things. And that's where you have to start. You have to start practicing that silence and sitting with yourself, just being. And again, it goes back to what you're saying about doing. We are human beings. We're not human doing. Stop the shit. Stop the noise. Just take a few moments. I'm not saying you have to sit on the couch and meditate for half an hour, but if you could just sit with yourself for a couple of minutes every day and just be with yourself. What a difference.
I think it's challenging because there's a misunderstanding about what the mind really is. And so when you stop and your mind is still running, which is normally what happens for people, particularly who they've never sat with themselves. But even me, like this morning, I was doing a meditation and I wrote a blog this week. My Monday Muse came out. I was talking about spiritual overachievers. And I was talking about how we bring the same programming to our self-growth that we do to everything. And we don't see it. We miss that. So if the programming is like strive, like we were talking about, now we're bringing that to our self-growth. And so that's why people get stuck a lot. And I work with people a lot who have been on the journey for a while and still getting stuck, other coaches and things like that. And this is oftentimes what I see. One of a few things that I see that is problematic is that they're bringing unconsciously the same strive to their self-help. So it's, if I am in silence, but my mind ran, then I did it wrong. That didn't count. Or whatever it is on any myriad of things. And I was meditating. So I opened LinkedIn and someone had commented on my thing and said, oh, I see myself doing that. Another coach. And I said, yeah, I did it this morning. I literally was in meditation and my mind drifted because I got this idea about something I wanted to write about. And my mind drifted for 45 minutes. And I found myself, I caught a thought, which was like, oh, shit, this didn't count. Like, what? And so I think that unconscious process also really makes it difficult for people to sit with themselves, and they tell themselves things. I'm just not good at this. I'm ADD. I can't do it. As if that's not all of us, as if we're not all dealing with this monster that's in between our ears.
Yeah, absolutely. My mind wanders when I meditate as well, but it's okay. It wandered, let it go and come back to center, or just let it flow through and come back. That's what you have to do. It's okay that your mind, you don't have to be completely, perfectly still, your mind completely, that's next to impossible to have your mind completely blank. It's okay if it wanders off during a meditation or during sitting in silence with yourself, whatever it is, that's okay. We have how many thoughts every minute? Give yourself a break, cut yourself some fucking slack. It's okay. Yeah. It's not wrong. You're not doing it wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yes.
How do you personally define transformation, and how is it different from personal growth or self-improvement?
I don't know that I think there's a myriad of words to convey it. I don't know that I'm stuck on any one word. I think all of those things could be interchangeable. I never really thought about that. But to me, it goes back to a felt energy. So if I'm leading people through, for example, heart coherence or something like that, or myself for that matter, there should be a shift in energy, right? So it's not just about getting quiet. It's that something shifted, something softened, something opened, something moved, right? There's this 3-foot electromagnetic space around our heart. And the information that's floating on that, our emotions are our emotions. And when we can shift those, something shifts in us and around us. So I feel like transformation has to do with when it has gone beyond our intellectual mind and we're actually seeing ourselves behaving differently. We're seeing ourselves feeling differently. And by the way, we're seeing the people around us behave differently toward us. I had a couple of clients recently say, God, we weren't even working on this one thing, but my mother doesn't trigger me at all anymore. I don't know what's happening. It just doesn't bother me all of a sudden. Or, gosh, my husband started bringing me coffee in the morning. He's never done that before. From someone who's been yearning to feel connection with their spouse and never mentioned a word, never said, I want to feel connection. I want you to do this. This would make me feel that way. She didn't do any of that. She did work inside herself. And now all of a sudden things outside are happening. And that's when we know that transformation is happening. It's not, I learned I shouldn't do this anymore, and so I don't do it or whatever.
I love that. It's true. When we shift our energy, it shifts the energy around us. It will shift the energy in your house. It shifts everything.
Totally.
That's so powerful. I love that definition, Abby. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. You've moved from psychotherapist to coach, speaker, and writer. What did you have to leave behind from your old identity to become who you are today?
Okay, we established I left behind the bone-crushing humiliation.
Yes.
I tried anyway. I still feel that sometimes, but
it's a work in progress.
We left that.
And that's okay.
And that's good. Yeah, it's more than okay. I'm enjoying that part. Good, bad. Yeah. I really left behind this idea, and it goes back to something that you said earlier in this, that I had to leave behind this idea that my ego was attached to my psychotherapy license, that it was attached to what I'm doing in the world. I actually had to leave a lot behind. I had to leave behind the judgment of others. I had to leave behind relationships. It's been an evolution for me to really unravel and be okay with where the chips fall. I had to leave behind a lot of guilt about what I had done to my son by divorcing. I have a child now with a disability, a child I had in my second marriage, who he's 14 going on 54. But, his body has not caught up with everything his mind can do.
Yeah.
He handles it like, great, Mom, I don't know what the problem is. These are my feet. This is how I walk. What is the big deal?
Yeah.
I had to leave behind a lot of drama that I used to bring into my life, addictions to anger and victimhood, like a lot of things, and things that I continue to try to unravel. Yeah.
That's a lot of self-awareness and self-realization. Holy shit. That's a lot.
It's a lot. I'm a lot, Brad. I'm a lot. You can ask my husband. I am a lot.
But in the best possible way.
Of course. Only good stuff.
Because life is a bowl of cherries. It's always puppy dogs, rainbows, and ice cream. That's
exactly.
it.
That's right.
So taking it back to the awareness piece, what are the most common ways people avoid awareness, even when they think that they're doing the work?
So we have something called buffers.
Okay.
And buffers are these ways that we allow ourselves to avoid seeing ourselves, that the ego helps us avoid ourselves. And they come in the form of all kinds of things: shame, guilt, defensiveness. It doesn't really matter. Like, anything could be a buffer. And people think that if they are pummeling themselves with shame or they're feeling guilty, if I run around feeling so guilty because I misbehaved or I did something wrong or whatever, then I'm somehow taking responsibility. Guilt is not responsibility. Shame is not responsibility.
No.
Those are two different things. And we get so identified with these emotions and these thoughts that we're having. And when we're identified with them, we become them. We can't see outside them. When I worked with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he used to say, and he probably still does, you can only think equal to your emotion that you're experiencing. Yeah. So if you're feeling shame, you can only think equal to shame. That's a very low vibration emotion. Yeah. And it makes perfect sense, right? So these buffers that we put up, when I was saying to my son the other day, I told my son, I said, because we let the cat out. The cat keeps getting lost. It's new. It's not a newer cat, but he's new to getting out. And he got out because we left the screen door open. So he gets out 3 times in a row. But the last time, because we think we're really being careful, my husband boarded up the screen door. It was fine. The other day it got out again. And my son, my 14th son, was like, God damn it. I was like, what? And I was like, the cat's out. And I'm like, oh, how did that happen? And he's like, the HOA gardeners, left the screen door open. I can't believe they did that and everything. And I said, Jaden, I said, listen to me now. There comes a moment in your life, usually around 40 years old, where you realize that you have become your parents. And I want to bring your attention right now to how annoyed you get with dad when someone breaks something and the first thing he does is figure out who to blame. Like, got it.
Thanks for the lesson, Mom.
So these are the buffers, right? We don't take responsibility. We let the cat out. We know our cat wanders. We did that. It doesn't matter what happened out there. It's it's like Stephen Covey says, if I'm not the problem, there is no solution. Yeah.
The cat is your responsibility.
The buck stops with me at the end of the day, right? Yeah. So I think that people say that they're aware, but we really have no idea the programs that are working and the way that the ego is working because it's so sneaky. And I think this idea of bringing self-growth into that is an easy way for people to see that sometimes, because if you have any part of your self-growth routine where you're thinking to yourself, oh, I should have exercised today, I didn't. Or, oh, my mind ran, I got to do this again, or I did this wrong, or any judgment, any self or other judgment is you identifying with the filing system of your mind, right or wrong. And that is a lack of self-awareness, because your mind, again, is only operating on what it knows, stored memory, and it's put in 2 buckets, good and bad. Conscience doesn't have good or bad. Conscience is oneness. Conscience is love. Conscience is present moment.
There you go, right there. The present moment, being in the present moment is everything, because the past is done. It's gone. You can't change it. It's over. The future hasn't even fucking arrived yet. So but we do this to ourselves. We worry about, what's coming, what's going to happen if I do this, or what, Jesus Christ, that happened. Oh, and we beat ourselves up. Stop.
But here's we are looking at the future through the lens of our past. So we are worried about it because we're thinking about it with stored memory of stored experiences. We're not looking at it through the pure potential. When we're worrying about something in the future, we're really still stuck in the past. It's the same thing. If you're thinking about the past or you're worrying about the future, you are in the past. You are in the past of your stored memories.
I love that. Oh.
Yeah. So the only time that you can create something new is in the present moment. That's the only moment where potential really lives, because you can't create something that has already been created. So when we think, which I do all the time, I'm going to develop this model. Let me think about it. As, oh my God, like how can I create something brand new to me if I'm thinking, even if I'm thinking about the future, I'm going to be on stage talking about this with stored memories. If it's already created, it's known. You have to be in the unknown, and the unknown only exists in the present moment. And that's why when we function like that, the right hemisphere creates solutions for us so much faster than the left hemisphere ever could. They say like the right hemisphere processes information 800 times faster because it drops in. It drops in from somewhere else. It downloads. It doesn't come from all these, let me write this thing, and let me think about it, let me talk about it, and let me get on with some colleagues and see what they think about it. And
the present moment is all we have. That's all we have.
But
Period.
we live like it's not, right? Like we understood that. If we truly understood that, would we do half the shit we do?
Nope. No. Of course we wouldn't.
No. Yeah.
Now, having studied the mind, walked through the fire, held others in their darkest moments through your clients that you've worked with, what has that all taught you about the human spirit?
Gosh, I don't know if I can put that into words. It's more of like a feeling that I just got when you asked that question. I
love that.
Yeah. The human spirit is it's the spirit of God. It's the buried spirit of, and I'm not religious by any standpoint, but I think that the human spirit is resilient and it's here for goodness. I don't care. When I was a psychotherapist, I sat with people who beat their wives. I sat with somebody who killed somebody. It was never hard for me to find empathy for these people. When I was in conversation with them and talking to them, I could find empathy. It wasn't hard. I feel that, and I once did a little video on this, there are no good or bad people. The human spirit, I think, at its very core, wants to be good. To do good.
I agree with that.
It's about goodness.
People hurt
people. Yeah. I don't know that I can put it into words, but I feel like it's big.
Okay, let me ask you this then. You said you're able to hold and have empathy for someone who's killed someone. And I know this is going to be a very difficult question to answer because it hasn't happened, but could you hold and be empathetic for someone who brought harm or killed someone you love? Could you do that easily, do you think?
I would have to.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, what becomes of me?
True.
I'm not saying that, I don't know. I'm not saying it would come easy necessarily. There's all kinds of circumstances I can imagine that I would be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But the journey, and I believe Sue Morter tells this great story about how souls come down. And she talks about it like these little souls are all at a bus stop. And there's an old soul that's coming back. And he's talking to these little young souls that haven't been yet. And they're all talking about what they're going down for. And he says, I'm going to go down to learn forgiveness. And he said, because I was 90 years old before I learned it on my deathbed. And I want to go down and I want to experience that sooner in my life. And so the little souls are like, so what is that going to look like? And he said, I don't know. He said, I might have to have a child that dies by a drunk driver. And the little souls are like, what the fuck? But listen, my son's disability is a big deal. It was a spontaneous mutation. My husband and I don't even have this. It's hereditary. And his nerves don't fire to his muscles. And he's had multiple surgeries on his feet and he walks funny. He's got weakness and they say it's degenerative and all these things. And it's okay, that's nobody's fault, but it's the same vein that we're talking about, right? I could say it was my fault because my pregnancy was so stressful.
Right.
But if I didn't believe, not because of him, but because of all the things that were going on in my life, I was under a lot of stress and I didn't manage it well. So I could say that he bathed in stress fluid. It was my fault. But if I didn't believe that souls come down for a reason and not every soul is meant to live a full life and not every soul is meant to awaken, and if I didn't believe that, then my life would be so much more painful than it is right now. And yeah, I can imagine forgiving someone who killed someone that I loved because I would work at that till the day that I died. And I might never get to it. I might never be able to get to forgiveness, but I would be working on it. Because that's freedom.
I've recently just stepped into the whole soul contract thing. And I knew all about it, but it hit me like a ton of bricks a little while ago because of a personal situation. And someone that I know was diagnosed with cancer and she's very young. And it really hit me. And I was sitting outside on my veranda one morning and thinking about all of this and why does this happen to young people? And you hear of kids 2-3 years old and their lives, and it really fucking hit me. And I thought this brought up the whole thought around the soul contracts. And it doesn't matter what age you are, what age you live to, your soul contract, once it's fulfilled and that's it, you go. And I realized that, you know what, whatever age the person is, they have fulfilled their contract and they cannot do any more work here on this side. They are needed on the other side because there's bigger, more important, or different work for them to do over there that they cannot accomplish here. It's impossible.
In this lifetime.
Yes, in this lifetime. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it really hit me. It's holy shit. And I think it also brought up the fact that we all come here as souls. We are incarnated into these meat suits, and we forget our soul contracts. We know before we get here exactly how long we're going to be here for, what we're here to do.
Yep.
But once we are put into these bodies, it's gone. It vanishes. We forget.
Yep.
Because all the conditioning and all the different other things that happen to us, it's forgotten.
Yeah.
And so again, this ties back to what we were saying earlier about the remembering.
Yeah.
Because people do awaken. And as you just said, not everyone is meant to awaken. So those people may not remember. They may not remember any of the stuff. And the people who do awaken have a remembering of certain things, and they do step into the higher version of themselves and learn more about that journey and doing the work that they're here to do. So it really struck me hard. It was shattering for me.
I bet. Yeah. No, but that's the only way that I can get through some of those awarenesses. Yes. And I think that it's important to say that there's no end to evolution. We're not evolved. Like, I think about the stuff that I'm doing in this soul's journey, and I would really like to be able to sit under a tree like Buddha and have more of an awakening. I would like that. But I don't know what my contract is. There are things that I would like to uncover that I don't know that I'm going to be able to uncover in this lifetime about my history, about my childhood, about things.
Yeah.
And getting okay.
Yeah.
With the degree to which we are here to awaken as an individual soul.
Yeah.
And the work that we're here to do and that others are here to do. And trusting that they're going to come back to finish their work. Easier way to get through.
That stark realization, really, it's the only way for me personally that I can make sense of something like that. The only way that I can make sense of it all, because it just sounds insane when you think about it. And your heart breaks for these kids who get afflicted with these things and their lives end so early and all the different possibilities. And that's the only way I can make sense of it. The only fucking way.
Because though we only see what we see, and we've been so conditioned to only focus on the material world. So of course our mind goes again to the known. Look at what they don't get to do. Look at they're sick. Look at what they're not going to do. Like, this is the known. These are all we know. But what about the vast spirit world? What about everything that we can't see? What about everything that is unknown to us? What adventure is their soul maybe going on? What is all the other stuff? We get hung up on what we know. Oh, your life is short. That goes in the bad category. And there's stuff in the human life that's really fucking tough.
Yep, there is for sure.
And I totally agree with you. It's the only way that you just wouldn't get out of bed if you thought about all the horrible things that are happening in the world.
Absolutely.
And didn't have some kind of belief around it.
Yep. What was your most unexpected teacher? An experience, a person who showed you exactly what you needed, even if it didn't feel like it at the time?
I don't know, maybe my brother. There's been a lot of family relationships probably, but I would also really say my son and his Charcot-Marie-Tooth disability. And I think it's an ongoing thing, right? That he teaches me what I need to let go of and what I need to see. But yeah, there's been a lot of cruel lessons that I really saw as cruelty and got very attached to my victimhood around. And I really needed to see that was me doing that to me, that I'm not, and I don't want to live as a victim.
Yeah. We are our own worst enemies.
Oh, 100%.
We are the worst people to ourselves.
Yeah.
Nobody is harder on ourselves than us. And it's horrible. But again, it takes work to get out of that victimhood and stop doing that.
And awareness to get out of victimhood.
For sure. Yeah. To realize that you're doing it, first of all.
That's really tough, I think. Really tough, because again, that's the buffer. You feel justified. Justification is a huge buffer. You feel justified in the victimhood. And it's not that you're not necessarily, but it's like, how does staying stuck in justification, that by definition keeps you as a victim? So you have to choose.
Yeah.
Do you want to stay in the victimhood? Because
some people are addicted to it, though. They love it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. What moment cracked you open spiritually, where logic and psychology weren't enough and you knew you needed something deeper?
I'm trying to think about the moment.
The moment.
There was a moment, because there's other life-threatening disease in our family. And I remember my husband said to me once, I said, how could we even fathom? And he said to me, which was shocking, because he doesn't do this work nearly on the level that I do it. He said, every soul isn't meant to be here yeah. And I was like, whoa. But I think that in terms of the moment that made me realize I need more, I don't know what the moment was. It feels like it's been a building moment, but I've been on a journey in the last however long, really working with, I have my chief work and I do all this other stuff, but working with a shaman and really understanding dreams, learning to understand dreams, and many medicine journeys, ceremonies. And I think that I came to that really, actually, it probably happened after I saw a medium and my father came through. And he was like, kept telling the medium, like, he was sorry. And I was like, what are you sorry for? What's the big deal? I'm fine. Look at me. I'm fine. And she was like, I'm looking at you. You look fine. You look fine. She said, but what I'm telling you, your father is telling me that you think you're fine and you're not fine. There's something else going on. And I was like, and so that sparked this whole journey that eventually led me to do a lot of really deep work. So that's one thing. And then I think the last thing I would say is just an overwhelming feeling of stuckness around something so stupid, but messaging, like messaging in my work.
Yeah.
Just continuing to get stuck, whether I'm writing a book or whatever. It was just like endless. And it was like, what is this block? What is going on? Why can't I find my voice? And that really started me on a journey of, there's more.
Yeah.
There's more. I got to find out what more there is.
If your soul had a mission statement, what would it say?
Relentless emergence.
I love it. If your younger self could witness the woman you are today, what would she be most in awe of?
It's funny. I just reread, my sister gave me like 20 letters that I wrote her when we were young, like when I was little and when I was in college, and I was shocked by them. She would be most in awe of, I don't know, maybe, you mean you don't need a man? You feel okay about yourself?
All right.
I do have a man, but I think that's what she would say. She would say, you'd be fine.
Thank you for that. What is one myth about healing or coaching that you're on a mission to burn to the ground?
Oh, God, there's a lot. A myth about healing or coaching is that it's one and done, that you can change with your mind.
Okay.
It's the addiction to the mind.
What is one thing you wish more coaches, therapists, and healers would stop doing in this space?
I wish that they would stop intellectualizing their own healing, their own journey. And I wish they would go to deeper depths to understand themselves.
Okay. Where do science and spirituality collide in your work? And what does that fusion unlock in your clients?
What I'm learning, which I think we're all learning, is that science is just catching up to spirituality. There's no, this whole science thing that I see, sometimes I'm thinking to myself, this is just for us to play with as humans. This is just so that we can feel like we know something, but it's all there. It's all been there. Like, it's all, the ancient wisdom has always been there. People are functioning like this thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's just us and our stupid egos that think we got to prove it. But now that we've proven it, it means something because I can see it in material world.
It's tangible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if they collide. They just are. It is. And I think when my clients can begin to understand that, the depth of the wisdom and the breadth of it, it's a weight. It's just a weight. And then they take off like rocket ships.
I fucking love that. That is so powerful what you just said there about science being something for us to just play with, and spirituality is far ahead. That is really powerful when you sit and think about that sentence, how you share that, how you epitomize that. That's it. Like that. So fucking true.
Yeah. And yet we have to use those words to get in the door, to get the keynote, to get into the company, whatever it is. I got to talk about neuroscience. God forbid I talk about ancient wisdom or soul cycle.
Well, look at the TEDx platform. You're not allowed to talk about spirituality at all.
Actually, on my TEDx, there's a big disclaimer. You're actually, in that year, you weren't allowed to talk about neuroscience either, unless you were a neuroscientist.
There you go, right?
Yeah, it just depends on it literally depends on who's in charge of TEDx that year.
Fuck. Crazy. Right? Thank you. That was brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. I love that, Abby. I absolutely love it. If your wounds could talk, what would they say about the woman you've become?
Ouch! My wounds would say, you've got a long way to go, sister. Keep going. Just keep going. Don't look back.
Okay. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, you're a podcast host and you've mentioned the podcast. Can you tell us about the podcast? When did you start it? What was the inspiration behind starting a podcast? Tell us all the things.
Yeah, you and I connected, I think, way back when I was starting it. Someone gave me your name. That's how we actually connected. And I was asking you questions right after I started it. It actually happened really organically. I had no intention of starting a podcast. In fact, several people had mentioned to me, like, oh, you should have a podcast. And I was like, ugh, everybody has a podcast. I don't want to do that. And then they would say, oh, you should have a podcast. And I would say, my ego would be like, I should have a podcast. My friend has a podcast and I should have a podcast. And then I would think to myself,
is that how your ego sounds?
Yeah, exactly. My ego is like that. And so I was like, oh no, bitch, you're not getting through. Like, you're not doing this to have some type of overachieving conniption fit. Like, that is the wrong reason to do it. So just settle down. And I was like, I'm not doing it. So I had hired someone to get me on podcasts, and he would continually sort of drop the idea. And I would say no for various reasons, whether it's because I just didn't want it or whether I knew the desire was from the wrong motive. And one day he said it again. He just said, you know what we could do? We could take all your content and just create a podcast. And for some reason, I had been on someone's podcast and I've been listening to their podcast and I really liked what they were doing. And I just was like, what would it take to start a podcast? And he was like, this and this. And I was like, what's the first thing I'd have to do? And he was like, you'd have to record an intro. And I'm like, all right, I'll get you one. And I just started taking one step after another. And that's literally how it started. And I said, but I don't know how to get guests or whatever. And he said, well, I'll get you some guests. And so I told him some people I wanted. And then I realized I was a trainer for Dr. Joe Dispenza's corporate work. I volunteered at tons of events. I did a speak to story mastermind with Bo Eason. It's whatever, like through your life, you meet people and stuff. Yeah. And I started and first I interviewed like a really good friend of mine who just talks straight talk. And then I started to just, ask people that I knew. And then they would interview the scientist for Joe Dispenza, like the lead scientist, because I knew him not well, but enough to email and be like, hey, Mel, can you be on this? You know? And then I've been to a conference with somebody who, Dr. Teresa Bullard, who's super interesting, and asked her to be on it. And she was promoting something at the time. Sure. So I have a myriad of guests because I sort of have two audiences. One is sort of the spiritual overachievers, or the people who are far along on the consciousness journey and are interested in these conversations around whether it's plant medicine or whether it's tapping into intuition from a channeling perspective. I interviewed Dr. Helena Wabea, who wrote a book called The Science of Channeling. And then the other audience is leaders who are really interested in being their best selves and being their best leader. And that's how I did it. Yeah.
And is it strictly interviewing, or do you do solo episodes as well?
I do a solo episode every Monday, a Monday Muse. And that is actually some of the more popular things. And I literally talk about any number of topics that you and I covered today, just basically how to manage being a soul in a human body and how to harness the awake advantage, how to wake up, how to operate in your life awake. And so those are like 10-minute episodes that I do every Monday. And then I just pulled back to doing 2 guest episodes a month instead of 4 because it was just too demanding. Yeah.
So what is the awake advantage? You've said that a couple of times now.
It's about less mind, more you. So it's about becoming awake to any number of things, but becoming awake to how your mind is running your life and it is not a trusted source, period. And so I believe that to function at your highest potential, to be your best self, we have to awaken. We have to wake up, we have to stay awake, and then we have to operate awake. And there's several steps to understanding that and to being able to do that really authentically, not like the throwaway lines. Oh, you got to put your mask on first. Not saying don't shit on yourself. I know I keep doing this, but I know I need to stop, but blah, blah, blah. Like the excuses, the buffers, the really understanding at a very deep level for reals. You're not your mind. Let me explain to you what that looks like, how it works. What are the areas, the crevices that you don't see, that you tell me you're self-aware? We can't be. We're operating with 5% of our conscious mind. Who are we to think that we're awake? It's about seeing the self-importance that we have in our world. Everything. If something doesn't go our way, the damn gardener left the door open. Like self-importance.
The fucking
cut out. Or even when I fall into a shame spiral. Oh my God, I can't believe I screwed up that interview so bad. I'm the worst person in the world. Self-importance. That's self-importance. It's all self-importance. We're riddled with it.
Yeah.
So
isn't that mind-blowing? 5%.
5%.
That's it. That fucking blows my mind.
I know.
The incredible amount of untapped availability of untapped resources we have in this head of ours. Everybody has it. Every single person on the planet. It's just a matter of whether you learn to utilize, learn to tap into, figure it out, whatever it is, to use that. Crazy.
Yeah. And understanding that we just can never, that was one of the biggest mines that I stepped on as a therapist, thinking that I understood, thinking that because I was in therapy or because I studied this work and I did all the things that I was aware of all my unconscious patterns. It's actually a different process than I realized. People will say, I left therapy. I don't want to go back to that model, because you can understand exactly why you did what you did and never change. Or never understand why you did what you did and are the way you are, and you can totally change.
A fucking mind fuck.
It
is. Wild.
Yeah.
Abby, what is one thing you know now that you wish you had known when you started your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, God. I wish I had known. It's not something I wish I had known. I just wish I had the resources to not give up. Like the resources the inner resources. Because I always say I have no fucking idea where I would be right now if I had gotten over myself 30 years ago. I wish that I had the inner resources to just do the things, to go even though I'm scared.
What does freedom mean to you at the deepest level, beyond money, status, or recognition?
Freedom is just inner peace.
Okay.
Freedom is just emotional freedom.
How do you define success? What does that word mean to you?
Success, I always say success without self is just another type of stuck. So to me, I don't know that I can give you a definition of success, but I can tell you things that feel like success. When I see someone that maybe I used to envy succeed in something and I don't feel envy, that's like amazing success, right? When I don't feel guilty for something that used to make me feel guilty, amazing success. When I do something, even though I'm scared to death, that's success. Like these are the wins.
Yeah.
I always say, yeah, it was great doing a TEDx. And of course it was something I wanted to do and it was like a whatever, but the
bucket list item or whatever.
Yeah. But I walked off like my hyperachiever's like, all right, what's next, bitch? Like we're not celebrating that. The success of that was that of all these speakers, and of course my ego was like, I want to be the best. And I was up with a million really good speakers. And I was the only one of all of these speakers who lost my way in the middle of my talk for 26 seconds. Now,
holy shit.
I don't know if you speak on stage, but 26 seconds is a long fucking time.
Yes, it is.
A long time. And I'd gotten into heart coherence before I went on, and I had done so much personal work like that morning even just to remember who I was. And I was talking about going to jail and all that kind of stuff that I was really afraid to talk about. But I did this whole visualization that morning and I was like, I am sincere. That's who I am. Like my I am statement that morning is I am sincere. I have a sincere message. And if I touch one person, that's all that matters. And if I had been so grounded in that, I really walked on and off that stage like I was walking in and out of a supermarket. Like there was no adrenaline rush. There was no adrenaline crash. So it wasn't the TEDx that was the success. It was that process that I had overcome myself. That's the definition of success. Every time I overcome myself, I have succeeded.
Love it. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Oh, don't get me started on the word empowerment. Do you know, if you look up the word empowerment in the dictionary, literally empowerment in the dictionary, it says something about when you are granted or you are given power in some way. So this is what is written on my card. Empowerment cannot be bestowed. It is generated. So the whole reason that we have such a fucking problem with women's lib and women and all these things is that women's lib was phenomenal, but you took a group of people who have been conditioned into unworthiness and you said, now you may work. Now you may have a credit card. Now you may do all the things. And
you may vote. You may have a bank account.
Do all the things. And then we had the friggin' Angelique commercial. You can bring home the bacon, fry in a pan, never let them forget you're a man. All these things. Yeah, I can do all that. I can. But if you take the programming of the person who is unworthy, who believes that their worth is attached to how well I can do all these things, and you plop them into a work atmosphere, you literally just have someone running the same program now at home and at work. And we're curious, why are women burnt out? Why are they? It's just the way other people are treating them. No, it's not. It's what we're doing to ourselves. So empowerment to me means diving deep in your inner world. And you can tell someone all you want. Someone who feels disempowered, you could, and I know we've both done it. You can sit there with them and be like, you're amazing. You're so awesome. You're great. Blah, blah, blah. It's not going to change shit. If they don't feel that way, they can go get a new job. They can whatever. You can say it to me if I'm in a disempowered state. I'm the only one that can get myself out of that. It feels good. You can be supportive. But the more supportive thing is to say, how are you going to get your head out of your ass right now? Because I can sit here and tell you're great, but I know that's not going to work.
I can't pull your head out of your ass for you.
So let's talk about how to get the head out of your ass. Like, how do we get you out of your mind and all the things that your mind is telling you and you're believing and you're identifying with that are from your past so that we can get moving on your future?
So diving deep into your inner world.
Into your inner world. And yes, and disengaging from your identification with what your mind is telling you. What you feel in your body and what your mind is telling you. Those are memorized habits of the past.
Beautifully said. Thank you for that, Abby. We're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. The next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type thing. Okay.
Okay.
What is your favorite place on earth?
Wherever I can find myself.
What is your secret or hidden talent?
God, I don't know if I have a hidden talent. I like to sing.
Okay. If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
It would be to remember yourself.
What is one of your guilty pleasures?
Netflix binging. Silly, frivolous shows.
What is one word that sums up your mindset?
I think it's 2. I already said them. Relentless emergence.
Okay. One book that changed your life.
I'm so bad at remembering books, but honestly, the book currently that in the last year is Self-Observation by Red Hawk. Okay. Totally changed my life.
What is one word that defines the woman you're becoming?
Oh, I'll tell you what I'm seeking more of. I'm seeking, I don't want this to come off the wrong way. I think right-sized.
Okay, beautiful. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regular scheduled program. I created a bonus question that I did not send you ahead of time. I did.
Oh, okay.
What is one habit, ritual, or practice that has been a game changer for you in personal growth?
Boy, I have a lot of them, but I think really the heart math work around getting into coherence, getting into heart coherence, learning how to use your heart focused breathing and combining it with imagery and doing it on the go. So positive intelligence calls it PQ reps. Heart math has other ways of looking at it, but it's really learning to stop in the moment when you're dysregulated and do something to shift the energy that you're in.
Okay. If you were to introduce yourself to me without mentioning your occupation, where you're from, your ethnicity, your religion, your nationality, all of the day-to-day bullshit markers that we use. How would you introduce yourself to me?
I'd say I'm a struggling soul trying to figure out how to live in this human body existence at Earth School.
Love that. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
You asked amazing questions. I looked at that question we said, I'm like, I'm not going to have any other questions. I have no idea. I don't think there's anything I can think of.
Thank you. I received that. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh, yeah. I forgot to think about that. One woman. Oh, God. Penne Chodron. How do you say her name? I'm blanking. Penne. Because I would say Sadhguru, but he's a man. Pema Chodron. I think that's what her name. Yeah.
Okay. And why?
Because these are people who have mastered stillness and have such a depth of understanding and such a understanding that I am not my mind. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my body. I want to just keep soaking that message in.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Get your head out of your ass.
Love it. Lastly, Abby, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
I would say, don't believe everything you think, and check your ego at the door, and be as fiercely loving of yourself as you are honest with yourself. I think it would be about clearing away the noise of your nervous system and the noise of your head so that you can wake up to everything that you are.
Beautiful. Abby, thank you so much. This has been such an incredible, beautiful, inspiring, thought-provoking conversation. I have enjoyed every minute of the time that I've got to spend with you. Thank you for showing up, for sharing, for shining, and for inviting me into your space to be part of your world, to journey with you through your work, your knowledge, your wisdom, your insights. It has been such a pleasure. I am honored to have you as a member of the Empowerography community and to call you a friend. Thank you so much for making the time to be here with me today, Abby. I appreciate you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I know you're a busy guy and you do a lot of interviews, so I really appreciate your time and the connection that we've had.
My pleasure and my honor. Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Abby Havermnn. She is a psychotherapist turned coach who uses neuroscience, spiritual, and coaching experience with her ability to transform difficult life experiences into a gratitude-worthy, self-evolutionary tool. She is also a speaker, podcast host, and writer. Thanks so much, Abby. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.